February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. Friday the 13th. Yesterday, if you believe in that supernatural or whatever you want to call it stuff. A little weird. We got no, it's the first. I know we had the Pro Bowl weekend, but we still had the Super Bowl come in, and we could talk about that. Now we don't really have much to talk about for the next couple weeks until the combine starts. Maybe franchise tag stuff could start as soon as Tuesday, so that will be fun. But we are officially in the off season. So,
any predictions for who's getting tagged?
Sounds like Pickens is going to get tagged. And the Cowboys, there's kind of two reasons you tag someone is like you legit just want to, have them for a year, or you kind of want to have time to work out a long-term contract and stuff. So I don't know what the Cowboys plans will be, but it sounds like they want to use it on Pickens. I've heard that Kyle Pitts is a franchise tag option. Isaiah Likely, I've heard, is that one as well. So in terms of, I'm just trying to think of fantasy relevant guys. These are just players that I heard rumors about. Romeo Doubs. Not everyone's going to use their franchise tag. Obviously, Travis Etienne. But I thought I heard something about that the Jags weren't planning on bringing him back. So I don't really know what the plan is there. So there's some significant players that will change up. Kenneth Walker is a big one now, especially with, how he finished the season.
Yeah.
No Charbonnet.
He's the first one that kind of comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
The franchise tag for this year for running backs is just over 14 million. Tight end is 16. Wide receiver is 28. I can't really see the Packers giving Romeo Doubs $28 million.
No.
You'd probably be better off. I'd swear you should be able to get him for a couple of years for that amount of money,
Yeah. What's what did you say was the running back franchise tag?
14.2 basically.
14.2. Okay. Yeah. I don't see why the Seahawks wouldn't bring back Kenneth Walker, although we would like to see him potentially go to another team. Because even with the Charbonnet ACL, maybe it would be a full-on Kenneth Walker year, but we see what Kenneth Walker is capable of when it's just him. This is what I was hoping, when I was kind of all in on Kenneth Walker this year. I was kind of hoping what we saw the last, four games or so. That's kind of what I was hoping. And unfortunately we didn't get that. So he finished the season just looking at the last 6 games. His 17-game pace was 1,400 rushing yards, 600 receiving yards, 50 catches, only 6 touchdowns. So that could definitely improve, but you can, 2,000 total yards, you're going to get more than 6 touchdowns most likely. So
yeah, Daniel Jones might be an interesting one too. I'm just kind of running through.
Brees Hall.
Yeah, Brees. I don't know no one knows what the hell the Jets are doing. The Jets don't know what they're doing. So
yeah, part of me thinks if they were going to not planning on keeping him, they would have tried to trade him, but I don't know. I don't know if they did and they just didn't find the right trade partner. We don't know those things. So
yeah, Mike Evans could be an interesting one too.
Yeah.
That would be more of an actual 1-year thing. Try and
for sure
keep it going.
Yeah, I agree. But Sal here saying, how are you all feeling about trading Neighbors for Garrett Wilson and Travion Henderson? He needs depth. What's the starters in this league, Sal? A 12-team start what, or a 10-team or whatever league you play in? How many starters in your starting lineup, excluding kickers and defense, if you have those? I think I think that trade could work out for you, but that trade could also very much not work out for you. Like, we know what Garrett Wilson is, right? But like, he just suffers from not having a quarterback, really. He had the one Aaron Rodgers year, and he was looking at being awesome that year until Devontae Adams came over, right? That kind of ruined that. Travion, like, he's also one of those, like, we think he can be really good, but Ramondre Stevenson is not going anywhere next year, and they're going to give him a lot of carries. Like, I don't really see Travion's role changing too much next year unless, Ramondre gets hurt. 12 teams start 10. He needs depth. How are you feeling about that trade? I can see that trade. I can see making that trade. I can see also the argument for holding on to Neighbors. Which side do you kind of lean? Gut instinct.
I think initially, I like the Wilson Henderson side, but obviously, like, we have three players here that all have kind of unknowns involved, right? Like, I mean, you touched on, like, we don't even know where Garrett Wilson's going to play if he is on the Jets, and who his quarterback is if he stays there. Henderson's got
Garrett Wilson signed a big contract beginning of next year, or beginning of last year.
Oh, yeah.
So he's on the Jets for, I mean, his contract runs through 2030.
That's right. So, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just thinking about Brees on the same team. I thought they were kind of in similar situations. And then Neighbors coming off the injury, right? Like, he's probably not going to be himself, even if he does, like, play a majority of this year. So I don't hate it.
See. I just said C because I was messaging in Spanish. It just, crossover. But yeah, I mean, it's so hard. I mean, it's easy to forget that, like Garrett Wilson, you go look at his start. He only played in 7 games this year, led the Jets in receiving yards, by the way. Essentially, he played in like 6 full games. And then he came back in week 10, which I don't even remember, that he came back in week 10 and did nothing, played less than 40% of the snaps. So you look at the first 6 weeks of the season for Garrett Wilson, and he was up there. This was just with Justin Fields, by the way. It wasn't like this amazing quarterback, passing quarterback or something. Garrett Wilson, for reference, was the wide receiver 10 in points per game through the first 6 weeks of the season there. So he can be good. I don't mind the Wilson Henderson side for sure. There's a lot of upside with those. I still think we could see Garrett Wilson level up. The Jets could. What are they going to do at quarterback? I don't know. Could they bring in Kyler? Would that be good for Garrett Wilson? I mean, probably be better than what they have. Would they bring in someone else like a Mariota? Do they potentially trade up and try to get the number 1 pick? I've heard rumors of, like, I think, did I bring this up on Thursday, where it's like kind of rumors of, like, could the Raiders potentially trade out of the 1 and get a haul for Mendoza and kind of prepare for next year with a much better draft class, QB draft class next year? Do they do something like that? So I don't mind the trade. I see the argument for keeping Neighbors as well. Neighbors also has question marks. He not just tore his ACL, right? He had like that full knee tear of like meniscus and all that, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So,
it was meniscus also.
Very good chance like Neighbors comes out and he's just not very good the first 6 weeks of the season. And that's going to lower his value just a little bit. But I don't mind that trade, getting the Handy Wilson side. I think it's about even.
Yeah. I think you bring up good points about Garrett Wilson being kind of better than we thought. Like, sometimes it doesn't really feel like it when you're starting him. Even his last healthy year in PPR, he finished as wide receiver 10. And it didn't really feel like it in parts of that season. And he's been plagued by bad quarterback play, or let's put it, mediocre quarterback play. Not necessarily terrible, but not good.
Yeah, I mean, it's the DJ Moore, Chris Olave until last year. even
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin at times. Like we always get these guys, but yeah, I mean, I think there's enough free agents out there at the quarterback position. I mean, again, even if it's Fields, and we saw Garrett Wilson be a top 10 receiver with Fields the first 6 weeks, but there's enough free agent quarterbacks out there that I would be okay with if the Jets got for Garrett Wilson, not necessarily for like the Jets overall or as a team or whatever, but like for Garrett Wilson. That includes, Aaron Rodgers, which that's not going to happen. Obviously, I don't know why I said that. Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, does he go back to the Jets? Flacco, does he go back to the Jets? Garoppolo. So there's some guys here for sure. But yeah, if anyone else has any questions, trade stuff, let us know in the chat. And also join our Discord. I'm gonna start, I think, this weekend, starting to put together the next listener league startup. So if you want to get into a startup, maybe draft in March, April, before the NFL draft, join our Discord. It's the only way to get into one of those. So do have some trades here that I want to kind of get your opinion on. And it's not necessarily like only talking about these trades, but it's more to kind of talk about these players in general. And one of them is Kenneth Walker. I looked at the Dynasty Daddy. They have the trade database, and Kenneth Walker looks like, I mean, he's up there with a couple other players, but he has the biggest bubble or circle there. And so that means he's been traded the most. Now, Kenneth Walker, trading for him a month ago is completely different than now, unfortunately. But so this is a 12 by 11, so a 12-team start 11, so it's relatively deep. It's a super flex. It's a PPR league. It's a tight end premium league. I forget the exact tight end premium. It is a best ball league too. Kenneth Walker in the 104. So you're looking at Kenneth Walker and, either wide receiver 2 in the class. No, either wide receiver 3 in the class, wide receiver 2 or 3, or Mendoza, QB1 in the class, most likely, for Jeremiah Love, the number 1 overall pick at the running back spot. Is this a smash accept on the Walker side?
I like the Walker side. Yeah, given the best ball also, like, that definitely helps. I think it's enough to move up or move back the 3 spots. Like, that's what you're going to have to pay. Like, it almost, like you said, like a month ago, it would have been like, no way, Walker's not enough, like you're going to need something else there. But I think Walker, the hype for him is just going to continue to build. And people are obviously like trying to capitalize on that one way or another. Like, people are trading for him because they believe it's going to happen this year, as far as his situation getting better. And some people are just like, oh, I can finally get out, like, after, like, given what we saw this year and last, even though last year was injuries more than anything. So yeah, I'll take the Ken Walker 104 side.
Yeah, I would too. The 12 by 11 and best ball, like you said. I mean, even this year, Kenneth Walker still 72nd overall player, and this is our Poseidon League, which this is a tight end premium league that we're talking about here. So, and a PPR league, which is basically what I don't know again what the premium is, but I assume it's not as high as ours. So Walker's even maybe a little bit higher, but 12 by 11, right? That's a lot of players starting each week. What is it? 132 players starting each week. So Walker's comfortably in the top 75 there. So, what would you trade just like straight up for him? Like, would you trade the 106 for him? Would you do the 104 straight up for him, Kenneth Walker? Is that too much? Again, we're looking at probably either wide receiver 3, who has a good chance of being a top 15, top 20 pick, QB1 in Mendoza, one of those 2 players, or maybe wide receiver 2, who could be a top 10 pick. Like, what would you do for Walker?
I think you can get more than just Walker for the 104. And if I am trading him, for this coming year, I mean, another thing to keep in mind too about him is he's still really young.
Yeah.
He's just over 25 years old. So he has plenty of tread left on the tires. If a team takes him and uses him, I just feel like you got to aim higher with that pick. You should be able to get more. Like we were talking about Jonathan Taylor in this like conversation for this pick last year, and the pick was more valuable, arguably, like at this time last year. So, and obviously that would have been like a huge win, but I just feel like you got to get something else thrown in there, like a straight up pick. I think basically where I'm at is like the 108 or we're back. But again, like I feel like he's going to be a guy like you want to like try and package, and it depends on the makeup of your team. If you earned that 104, I don't really want Ken Walker necessarily for that pick. But if you acquired it in a trade, or let's put it this way. Also, I guess another way to look at it: if you earned that 104 and it was mostly because of injury, and you really like are being honest with yourself, and you think your team's good enough to compete this coming year, it gets closer, but I'd still squeeze for something else.
If Kenneth Walker is the Dallas Cowboys' new running back, the Kansas City Chiefs' new running back, fill in the blank of what other team needs a running back this year. I mean, Vikings? If he's Carolina, what's that?
Vikings.
If he's the Vikings guy, if he's Carolina's guy, and they move on from both Dowdle and Hubbard,
and Brooks, I'm just going to keep bringing him up every.
Who? Oh, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. If he's the, even Chicago Bears and they move on from Swift, is he worth the 104 at that point? Like if he's a Kansas City Chief, I feel like he is worth the 104, right?
Yeah, I mean, he probably is. I feel like I'd still have a hard time doing it. I'd still try and get a little bit more back just based on perceived value, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it kind of really depends on, like I said, on your team makeup.
Yeah. So I think the point I guess I was getting at there, Saints is another team that could take them. They're mocked Jeremiah Love a lot. I guess the point I'm getting at with that is like you have to make that decision really in the next week or so, maybe even less, about Kenneth Walker. I'm okay going even a little bit higher than the 108 that you said. I'm fine going like the 106. I mean, the 106 is most likely in this year's draft wide receiver 4, tight end 1 in a tight end premium league, maybe QB2 if he goes in the first round, maybe RB2. I would take Walker over like the RB2 in this year's draft, personally. So I'm fine with going as high as the 106 right now. And it could get a huge bargain. He could return to the Seahawks, and it's probably not going to be great. I mean, you don't want to trade the 106 for someone who's going to be RB22, but so that's kind of the risk you take. So I think I'm closer to like the 106, which is where we were with JT. It was like the 105, 106, obviously in a better class. So yeah. But yeah, this trade I'm taking for sure the Walker side. I think that's a perfect like down tier there. Right next to him with that big old bubble is Malik Willis. And so the conversation I want to have is just about like, what do we do with Malik Willis sitting here on February 14th? We got about a month until we really know where Malik Willis goes. I mean, the Packers are not using the franchise tag on Malik Willis. They would not paying a backup, whatever crazy amount they would have to pay. So we know he's a free agent. We don't know where he's going to go for another month or so. You're in a super flex league. It's pretty standard, 12 by 10, super flex, half PPR, 1 point tight end premium. Are you cashing out? You have Malik Willis on February 14th, and someone offers you 2 second-round picks, 206 and a 27 second, which, let's just say it's relatively random because this, let's say it's the same team and they
Yeah.
finished in 6th place. So that could go either way in a really good draft class, which the second round, like it was last year, could be pretty deep. Are you cashing out on Malik Willis? Or are you going to gamble and hold him and hope for more and hope he becomes a starter?
No, I'm gonna take the 2 seconds because I really don't see, even if he does become the starter, I think you're still gonna be a little hard pressed to get a whole lot more. Like you might be able to get a back end first this year, like closer to draft time. Like for Malik, but I just feel like he's got such an uphill battle to be worth more than that. So I'm totally fine cashing out.
Yeah. I probably am too. That being said, like he is kind of the cheat code that we look for, right? At the running back spot. Like, just looking at games where he played. So last year he played in 2 games, 2 games where he had more than 50% of the snaps. He rushed for 44 and 60 yards and 2 touchdowns in those 2 games. In 2024, he played in 3 games of over 50% of the snaps. He rushed for 41, 73, and then 3 yards in the last game of the year, 1 touchdown. So literally 5 games where he's had 50% or more of the snaps, and he has over 40 yards rushing in 4 of them. So like that's like the cheat code stuff there, right? So I think maybe if he does become a starter, you could squeeze out maybe, like you said, a late first. I wouldn't be shocked if you could.
Yeah.
So
the way I kind of feel about that too is if you have the 206 and you want a late first, you could probably trade your 27 second and get that. So I don't even know if that's really the value is going up necessarily.
You're saying you could trade the 206 in a second for a late first?
I would think so in this year's class.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who people think is going to be there. Or
Definitely.
So.
Definitely. Like I'm just saying, like in a vacuum, like you could probably get that done just given how the class is being talked about and, the value of the 27 second and everything like that.
So then would you do it now for just like an early second in this year's class, the 202 or something from Malik Willis? Are you still kind of viewing that as like, okay, if he becomes the starter, I can't get much better than that, so I'm going to make that trade? Or are you holding at that point?
I think, like we've talked about this a lot, like in the off season last year, the difference between the 112 and the 201, there's a huge difference in people's perception of it, right? Because it's like, oh, it's a second versus a first, even though it's essentially the same pick. So I think I'm going to try and use that to my advantage at that point and try and get that third, like give me next year's third or something like that, just to squeeze it.
A second and a third, the 206 and a 27 third. Are you holding at that point?
I'd be fine with that.
I'm still making the trade.
Wait, sorry. Did you say the 206 or the early
206?
Second?
So like this trade here, but the 27 picks a third. So 206 and a 27 third from Malik Willis right now.
Yeah, I'll probably just hold Willis and hope for more.
Okay. Yeah, I'm roughly in the same thought, I guess. But yeah, I mean, again, we feel like we bring it up every stream, but 8-9 teams need a quarterback. Maybe 2 are going to fill that spot through the draft this year. Where are the other 6 or 7 coming from? And Malik Willis, he's going to get a shot to compete somewhere. I mean, the Packers proved, and I'm very curious to just how the landscape of the NFL changes a little bit. We just saw the Seahawks and Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl, and no one in their right mind would have thought a team could win a Super Bowl with Darnold. And Darnold played well. He won them. He was a huge part of the, to me, he won that NFC Championship game for them. And so he's like capable of that, but he wasn't carrying any team to the Super Bowl. He was, I don't want to say carried, but he did his part in obviously the defense did their part and the run game did their part and stuff. So like, and for example, like, do you pay CJ Stroud $50 million or whatever you need to pay him? Or do you try and find a quarterback of like the Sam Darnold level, a Malik Willis? I'm not saying Malik Willis is Sam Darnold, but like the Packers showed that you can win with him. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see as dynasty players start to devalue, their quarterbacks. Like, does the NFL start to do that? So it'd be interesting if it starts, because I always hated like, oh, new quarterback, like Brock Purdy's up for a contract, we need to pay him, top 5 QB money. Yeah. Stuff like that. It just never really made sense to me. It's like, they got the Dolphins got in trouble with Tua with that. Like, so I think CJ Stroud's going to be a good like measuring stick of like where teams are, NFL teams are. So, T-Zane said he had a trade go down in my league. Essentially, Jackson Dart, Aronde Gadsden, Trey Benson, Wandale for Cam Ward, Stafford, Bill, Pittman, and Waddle. There were seconds and thirds traded. Okay. So we had
this one takes a little breakdown.
Yeah. I mean, give me Wandale. Is this a tight end premium league, T-Zane, or is it just a PPR or whatever? I mean, Wandale easily over like Benson there.
They're on the same side.
Wait. Yeah, they're on the same side. So Waddle, Pittman, Bill, way greater than Gadsden, Benson, Wandale, in my opinion. It is a 0.75 tight end premium, which makes it a little bit closer, but like Bill over Benson, I don't think I would do.
I think I'd rather.
I guess it's really.
I don't know. And I don't feel like super strong about it, but like, I don't know. I just kind of feel like this coming year, maybe we'll see it. I don't know. I mean, what's Bill really going to be, I guess, is part of the argument too.
I mean, could be their starter. Like, I think he's a better running back than Chris Rodriguez. Now, the Commanders didn't necessarily think so there.
You should tell them that.
But I do think he's better. And we saw it when they gave him a shot at the end of the year. He had the big game against the Giants, or a good game against the Giants, a big game against the Cowboys, like when they started to give him a bit more carries. Trey Benson's done nothing. Bill's done like way more than Trey Benson has done in half the time, right? Like Trey Benson's had not even 400 yards rushing in his career. He's going on his third year. He's shown nothing, and now you have a whole new coaching staff coming in. That I don't know. I'm kind of like completely out on Trey Benson. We can call it a wash if you want. I wouldn't accept anything more or less than that.
So I'm looking. Okay, so Stafford said he is coming back.
Yeah, he announced that in his Hall of Fame, his MVP speech.
MVP. Okay. So if that's all true, then I want that second side better anyways.
Yeah, I mean, Ward and Stafford are over Jackson Dart for sure. Yeah, Gadsden, Benson, Wandale. I mean, I'll take Waddle over Wandale.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of where I was going. That's kind of where I was going with that too.
Yeah,
that
and
Waddle's probably the most talented out of the other players.
Yeah,
from what we've seen. So obviously Wandale massively outperformed him, and Waddle's got a lot of question marks. But yeah, I like the.
Wandale's going to. He's a free agent as well, so we don't know where he's going to be at.
Yeah.
I think it was just a little bit of like I don't know. Like I don't think a team wants to be giving Wandale 140 targets, which by the way, he's had each of the last 2 seasons exactly 140 targets. Now he did a lot more with them this year, so he basically had the same, he had the same target, same catches, 24 to 25, but he had 300 more yards with those catches, which gave him a good season. I don't know. Like, I'm still Waddle over Wandale. Yeah, I'll take the Cam Ward Stafford side there as well. So, but interesting trade. There's seconds and thirds as well. Maybe that could sway it a little bit, but interesting trade there. I think a lot of that's like the person that's getting Jackson Dart. Like they're probably very excited about Dart and Gadsden, right? Like they're looking at those two pieces as potential like elite pieces at their position, which maybe they don't view that with any of the other players on the other side. That's, I assume, what they're kind of looking at it as. But I like the Ward side. Couple more here. Let me get rid of this. Dart team won the league last year. So the team that's trading Dart won the league. Or is getting Dart, I mean, won the league. Yeah, that might mean he can survive. Like if that's the case, maybe it means he can survive giving up like two quarterbacks. He probably has a pretty good team, and he's thinking he's adding, a couple of elite pieces and giving up maybe a little bit in value. So
I'm glad he clarified that, because I totally read that the other way. He said, yep, the team getting Dart is the one who won the league. I read it at the Dart team. I read it. I always think about who had that guy. Anyways.
Yeah. So the team getting Dart, like you'd say, maybe they gave up a little bit in value, but again, they're kind of probably viewing it as getting two elite pieces.
Yeah, who besides Stafford were they really starting that was helping them? It wasn't Pittman, Waddle, or Bill, or Ward, really. I mean, it could have been Ward, like, in bye weeks. Like, I know he started playing better towards the end. But
Pittman, maybe beginning of the season. He was good the first 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, sorry. I just meant like I meant more down the stretch than anything.
Yeah. So a couple more here. And again, it's Brian Thomas. So pretty standard league there. Nothing to talk about. 12 by 10 PPR, half point tight end premium. It comes down to like, would you trade BTJ for, again, wide receiver 2 or 3 or QB1 in this draft class? What are we doing with BTJ? Do we kind of consider this like a cash out on him and kind of like, I'm getting obviously more than what I paid for him, but you would have been crazy to make this trade, before the season, right? So we're somewhere in the middle with him, or is this the middle? I don't know. It's interesting to me with BTJ, who it's hard to explain why he was so bad last year.
I'll take Brian Thomas. I think it's pretty easy for me. Like, it's funny because like I wasn't as high on him after his rookie year, and after listening to you enough, like I was kind of like, all right, yeah, I think you're right. And actually watching him and stuff, and it's like the talent is there. I don't know what happened this year, so I know there was like that wrist injury early that we kind of talked about, right? And we kind of looked it up, and I don't remember if we really found a whole lot, but I don't know. I'm just gonna bank on what we saw in his rookie year, and I don't necessarily need that to happen again in order for the 104 to be a fair value. So
let's say you're doing this rookie draft. This is a rookie draft, middle of it trade, slow draft, whatever. And the guy who's sitting there, so Jeremiah Love's gone, Mendoza's gone, number 1 wide receiver is gone, whoever that is. Let's say there's trying to think of a good team here. Let's say it's the Commanders. The Commanders picked a wide receiver, so the wide receiver 2. I think it's a decent landing spot. You got a quarterback there, hopefully, if he's healthy. McLaurin, maybe one more year of McLaurin. So it's like you can see the path to this guy being the number one guy for a really good quarterback, maybe as soon as 26, but for sure by 27. Does that change it at all for you? Like, so this is a wide receiver taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft on a good team, and you can kind of see the path even as soon as 26 for him. Does that change it at all? Like that scenario, or is it still BTJ?
I don't know. I definitely have to like learn more about these rookies before I can even make that decision. I probably just call you.
I think because, and I like that. Like I like thinking about it in the sense of like, because no matter how many times we can like I loved Xavier Worthy and Matthew Golden, and those guys still maybe too early, but they haven't like panned out. I guess my point is like we can scout as much as we want and we can be wrong a lot. We are going to be wrong a lot. The NFL is wrong a lot. So I guess my point is like I think it's sometimes it is valuable to just look at like the situation around it all, where this player went, who he's going to, where he went in the draft, what team he's going to, the path for him to kind of be the guy, and stuff like that. So I think there's like some value there. So let's just say like you don't really, get too much into scouting these guys, and it's kind of like you're just viewing it as like top 10 receiver to a good, hopefully good offensive team with an established quarterback, and their number one option is Terry McLaurin, and they don't really have much outside of that. Like this guy is for sure the number 2 option in 26, maybe more. I could see making that trade personally. Like I can't see making that trade. So I can also see making that trade. Like if you're sitting there and you have Stafford and Caleb Williams on your team and no one else really, and Mendoza sitting there, right? So I think this is kind of right where the value of BTJ is right now. I don't think I'd go much lower in this specific draft class. I think this is kind of like bang on to me, like where he's at. So the team build does matter though, for sure. And Teasing thinks he can get more for the 104. And that's another thing too. Like if you make this trade now, that 104 only becomes more valuable. Right.
Yeah.
So Justin Jolie or Jolly, I always watch the all 22 film and not the broadcast film. I have kind of scouted him a little bit. I think he has some intriguing qualities to him, in that like he had a pretty good receiving year next year. This tight end class, like I feel like it could be good. I feel like it also could suck. So by the way, if you need to take off, you totally can.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. I do gotta go.
Yeah, no worries. I'll probably finish up with this and then head out anyways. So
right. See everybody later. Talk to you later, Mike.
Yep. Oh, sorry, I cut you off there. So I probably have him. So to me, it's Kenyon Sadiq, and then there's a bunch of these like tight ends, and I don't really know how to order them quite yet. To me, that's like Eli Stowers out of Vanderbilt. Max Clare is in there. Michael Trigg out of Baylor. Justin Jolie is also in there. In my opinion, of like potential tight end 2/3/top 5 tight end. I think he's interesting because he has like the size, right? He's not necessarily tall, but he's he has that weight that you kind of want to see for tight ends, and more of like, which could lead to kind of more of a complete tight end role and less of a just like a pure receiving role where you don't play as much. So when it comes to tight ends here, I always tell people when it comes to like the combine and stuff, and the combine and how much it matters. I think the relative athletic score for tight ends, the RAS score, is the most important for tight ends. Like college production doesn't matter as much as just how athletic these guys are. So I will be interested to see with Justin there, like how he does at the combine. I don't think he's going to run particularly fast, but he's kind of like a basketball player out there. I think he has like kind of like really good footwork when I watch him, and his ability to kind of get open and stuff like that. We'll see how he is as a blocker. That's always the hard wild card thing that I'm not an expert in. I can watch it and have my opinion, but it's so hard with like judging blocking and stuff like that, because you don't know necessarily blocking schemes and assignments and all of that, and kind of what they're told to do on that particular play, and things like that. But I think he's interesting. Tanner, I haven't scouted yet, so I can't really give you a full-on breakdown of him quite yet. I know he went to Houston. He's also kind of a bigger tight end, like a 6'6", 250 type of tight end here. So I do want to look. I think with the because he went to the Senior Bowl, right? And I think he was actually having a pretty good Senior Bowl, if I remember correctly. Here, so I'll definitely be getting into him this weekend. I'm getting in a little bit deeper into these prospects, but I have not scouted him quite yet. So they'll be interesting. They will be interesting to see. Like this, to me, this tight end class, like I think it has a chance to be pretty good, because we have a lot of really good like receiving tight ends. Like to me, like Stowers, Claire, Trigg, those three guys are like more of the receiving type of tight ends than the traditional blocking tight ends, which obviously we like for fantasy. I think there's also, there is value in being able to be a good blocker because it gets you on the field more. But like, we saw with guys like Fannin and stuff like that, like sometimes, these teams are going to draft them to essentially be a big receiver rather than a traditional tight end. So I think this tight end class does have a chance to be like 6 tight ends deep, in terms of like 6 tight ends taken in the first 3 rounds that we could feel in a tight end premium league pretty nice about, obviously with Sadiq kind of leading the way there. And I have some concerns with Sadiq myself. I don't think he's like obviously this like clear cut prospect that, that we've had recently in like guys like Bowers, Loveland, Warren. I think there's some questions with Sadiq, and one of them being like he was kind of disappointing this year, I would say. I think we expected more from him after Terrence Ferguson left, and he was fine. He was good for a college tight end, like good numbers, but I think I was expecting a little bit more from him. Now they did use the other Oregon tight end, which for whatever reason my name is he's slipping out of my head, who I think he's also intriguing as well. Then we didn't expect him to come out this year. They used him quite a lot too. But Rocky, have I missed Hunter talk yet? What do I do with him when I have a competitive win now team? I think what you can do with Travis Hunter is you find if you're a competitive win now team, I'm worried about Travis Hunter. I'm actually going to make a video here today where I talk about guys that I'm like avoiding in startup drafts at value. Of course, there's going to be 4 players. Travis Hunter's one of them. He's still going, if I remember, in the 7th round, early 7th, late 6th, early 7th round. And I don't really know what my worry about him. I still think they're going to use him as a 2-way player, but you start to look at the Jags right now, and you look at BTJ, Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, Brenton Strange, guys like Etienne and Tootin. If Etienne comes back, Etienne and Tootin in the backfield. Do they really need Travis Hunter? Now, obviously, Travis Hunter has the ability to be better than all those guys, in my opinion, at the receiver spot. But I think they're going to kind of lean towards using him where they need him the most. It is a lot harder to find elite cornerbacks, in my opinion, than it is to find elite wide receivers. To me, elite cornerbacks are some of the hardest positions to find. I still think they're going to try and use him as a two-way player, but I don't see it more than like I would be surprised if they used him, if they're using him on defense at a 60, 70% rate, if they use him more than 40-ish% on the field offensively. And that's not going to cut it for most shallow dynasty leagues. I'm avoiding him. I know there was kind of an update today, actually, where they basically said, plus, by the way, he got injured. And this was also kind of a wild card concern that I feel like not enough people were talking about when scouting Travis Hunter. Now, I'll be honest, by the end of all of it and rookie draft season came, I was in on Travis Hunter as like a top 5 pick in the rookie draft. Originally I was not. And I think the one thing that people weren't talking about enough is like, yeah, he can play both sides of the field, but what's that going to mean when he starts to pile up injuries? And we saw it already in year 1. He had a serious knee injury. It was a knee, right? If I remember correctly. And if he's going to start getting injuries, they're going to stop playing him two ways. So, and I think they're going to lean towards, at least that's kind of what people are reporting. It was LCL injury. That's what people are reporting. Is that they're gonna lean towards playing him at cornerback if they stop playing him two ways. So it's a little bit concerning. Would I send the two? So are you saying like would I rather Travis Hunter or the 201 in this year's draft? I think I would still go Travis Hunter. I think I would still go Travis and just hold out hope for something. Hold out hope for some report that he's in training camp that he's playing on the first team offense, or some report in preseason game where he goes off or something, and be able to sell him for even more, right? So I think I would still hold the 201. Honestly, I think what I would try and do if I'm a competitive win now team is can I target a bad rebuilding team, and can you give me a couple starters, veteran starters for Travis Hunter? I think that's the direction I would go with him on a competitive win now team. Can you give me let me just pull up some stuff here. Like, can you give me, again, if you're talking about a team that's completely rebuilding, right? Like, can you give me Devontae Adams and I don't know, someone else that you can realistically see? How many starters in this league, Rocky? Like, what's your 12-team, 10-team start? How many? But can I get a couple starters, veteran starters that rebuilding teams don't really need, that might be willing to take a chance on a piece like a Travis Hunter? So I don't know on a competitive team, and assuming you're a win now competitive team, I'm assuming you're basing that off of you did well last year, right? And you did well last year without Travis Hunter really doing anything. So like he's kind of a luxury piece for your team, and it is, I guess, how I would view it. 12 teams start 10. So, not shallow, not deep, kind of right in the middle. So you made the finals, right? You made the finals without Travis Hunter, which means you have a pretty good team, right? You have a relatively good team. So I think what I would do is just hold him at that price. I don't think I would sell him for the 201. He's kind of a luxury piece for me. And if he hits, then my team's even that much better. If he doesn't, well, I still have a team that made it to the finals. So I think that's the approach I would take for him, trying to get a couple veteran starters off a rebuilding team for him. So it is a very tough situation, though. That could change, by the way. As of right now, I don't really know. I can't honestly tell you who's going to be the 201. I can give you a few players that I'm not even 100% confident are going to be there. That could change. If the 201 looks a lot better in a couple months, then that potentially could change. If you're talking about like the 110, I think I would do it for the 110. But I don't think you can probably get that for Travis Hunter, unfortunately. So the 201 and a starter, can I do that? The 201 and a 27 second, a 27 first, just one 27 first. Can I do that? Probably not, but those are the ones I would think about doing, but not quite just the 201 here. So what's up, Sean? We are taking off now, so good that you stopped in and stuff. But I do have to take off, guys. Let's see, T-Zane, would you take Chris Bell to 201 since he might have been a first? I would. As of right now, if I had to do a rookie draft right now, Chris Bell is in that conversation. So to me, it is obviously Jeremiah Love. And again, this is on February 14th. Jeremiah Love, in no particular order. Jeremiah Love, Mekhi Lemon, the three receivers in Lemon, Tate, and Tyson. It's Mendoza. It's probably Concepcion in Boston. So there's 7, right? Sadiq's going to be in there most likely, 8. RB2 and RB3 potentially in like Price and Coleman, and then Ty Simpson. So we're kind of up to 11 right there, that if Ty Simpson goes in the first round, if Coleman and Price go day 2 and they get good landing spots, we're 11 picks deep, in my opinion. After that, it gets a little bit what's next, right? There's a bunch of receivers that are probably going to come next. And Chris Bell, to me, kind of tops that list as of right now, with other guys like Omar Cooper, Jacoby Lane, Surratt, Jeremy Bernard. There's a group of wide receivers that I would have kind of in that 112 to 203 range, right? And I think Chris Bell, to me, is leading that right now because, like you said, if he didn't get injured, I think he would have been a first-round pick. He's still probably going to be an early second-round pick, even with a late-season ACL injury. He's a linebacker playing in linebacker body, playing wide receiver. Like Chris Bell, like if he comes out, I don't think I assume I don't know if we're going to get a 40-yard time for him now that I think about it. But like he's kind of potentially, they can kind of measure speed and all that technology out here. Like there's people that have him running in the mid 4.4s at 220, 225, whatever he weighs in at. That's insane. So I would consider taking him at the 201 if I'm drafting, before the NFL draft. I think he's in that conversation for sure. But guys, I will be live again Sunday, I think right around 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do a live rookie mock draft with you guys. Hopefully you guys can join us. Love to get 12 people to draft with us. So it's going to be our first live rookie mock draft of the season. So join us tomorrow evening around 6 Eastern time. So hopefully you guys can join us, and we will see you all then tomorrow. Nice. Sean, T-Zane, we'll see you there. Yeah. Join us.